We had your case scheduled at 8:15 this morning, but we hadn't heard from you. So we were thinking that
Correct.
you weren't going to show. It's now
Oh
almost
no.
9:30.
Yeah.
It's now almost
Apologies.
9:30, yep. And the public defender had indicated that you had contacted him. So what you're before me for, I'm Judge Sara Smolenski, is a probation violation from the case when you were originally charged with the domestic violence second with that person by the name of Christie. Today, they're saying that you've missed some of your appointments with the court, you haven't paid all your money, and you haven't done the counseling that was ordered. Those are the areas that they claim you fell short. You can plead guilty or you can plead not guilty to the probation violation. The probation violation is like a pass or fail. You either passed your probation or you failed your probation. If you wanted to have an attorney represent you, Mr. Abuxia or someone at his office or someone else could represent you. If you go forward on your own, the decision has to be yours. Can you think of any questions that you have so far, Mr. Jackson?
Absolutely.
What question?
I do. Well, it's not so much a question. Well, sort of,
Well,
kind
I
of.
don't want to talk about the details yet until you decide how you want to handle it. But if you have a specific question about what I've just explained, because you know you're brought before the court on a probation violation, you can either plead guilty to it or plead not guilty to it. That's where we're at right now. What was your sort of question?
Well, it was just more of a.
Statement?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll let you make a statement if you're going forward on the case and handling it yourself. Tell me, as to the probation violation, do you think you passed or do you think you failed?
I failed.
I appreciate your honesty. Now tell me what your statement was or what you wanted to say.
Like just to go into detail. I was put on probation 6 months for my second domestic prior to COVID, and there was things that I was supposed to do. I didn't get community service hours. I had fines. I had that class through Catholic Charities that that I was supposed to go for anger or some type of behavioral assessment. And to start off, I know that the COVID is out of our control. Well, when it first happened, everything obviously closed down. I contacted Catholic Charities, and they were very bad on their end to getting back to me, which I know Nicole will vouch for me. And then when they finally did get a hold of me, I sat there, and this was like after COVID, everything started opening back up. And I told Nicole, like, hey, like, you know, like, I understand that I have anger issues. My anger comes from like my impulse and my decisions that I make when I'm angry. I was like, it has more to do with me being off my medicine and everything. So me and Nicole sat there and discussed like what would be proactive for my thing for I guess moving forward instead of the class that you had suggested, because at that time the smallest amount of weeks was like 22 weeks, which would have put me at like a year and like a month or a year and 2 months, and I'm only supposed to do 6 months. And I have this thing where it's like it's hard to like get out the system once you get in it. And like with everything going on with today, I just felt like, and I told Nicole, like, yeah, I don't think that it's proactive. I go in there and somebody just reads my case details and they decide this is however many weeks you need to, and then really I just need to be put on my medicine, and I wasn't adulting the way that I was supposed to. Go ahead.
I appreciate your explanation. It gives me a little bit better insight. Ms. Brown is here. She has an opportunity to speak very briefly. Go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I will echo the majority of what Mr. Jackson has said today. At one point, we did kind of come back to the table and say, okay, you failed to make it to your domestic violence. You failed to reschedule it. I will allow you to just do simply mental health counseling. Just to get back on medicine, get back on track to address his mental health concerns. At one point, he did follow through with going to Network 180. However, he was not found appropriate for medication management through them, but they did give him Medicaid resources to apply for that.
Right.
Instead still to date, Judge, I don't have any documentation showing that he did follow through with getting enrolled for any mental health counseling
Right.
anywhere.
All right, I appreciate it, Ms. Brown. Thank you for your courtesy. Mr. Jackson, if you could hear what she was saying, she did say that she could, yeah, she did say that she could echo what you were saying at the onset, but that there were times still that you have failed to follow through with your part of this, although she indicated much of what you said was accurate. And I get that there's a lot going on. There is with everybody in every aspect of our lives right now. And it sounds like right now you got a lot of business with misdemeanor cases out of the Wyoming District Court. And that's going to be a lot. You gotta have an attorney on those cases to work through that, because those are a lot of multiple cases. You know, with us, you had the one, and it's going to be a different ballpark or a different ball game when you're talking about having multiple offenses. You'll want to make sure you have a chance to talk with your attorney on all of that. Even if we weren't talking about not setting up for the counseling, because I mean, all we're trying to do is find something that's going to help you. I mean, that's the idea, is to get you stable. How do we get you stable? Well, I'm not a doctor. Nicole's not a doctor. We're not psychologists. But we know that if you don't get some help with your medication, if you don't get some help with your mental health treatment, it can, multiply your problems, which, kind of sounds like what's happening in Wyoming, to be honest.
Absolutely.
But you got to deal with it. You got to deal with it. Whatever's going to happen, you got to deal with it. All I'm saying is, we're not going to keep this case going forever, because really we just can't. And it's not like I want to just turn you in to be locked up and that's going to solve your problems, because being in jail is not technically going to solve your problems. And you owe, in our case, $885 that's never been paid. Now, I don't doubt that COVID has affected your income like everybody else, and that can create difficulties for how you're handling your daily budget and everything else you got going on.
No, honestly, ma'am, I just honestly let that part of my probation. I've been so close with Nicole that it's been more like a mentorship, where she's kept my mind
I'm sure
level-headed.
she has. Yeah. And that's a lucky position for you to be in. But
I agree.
she still holds you accountable, as I do, about getting yourself back on track.
Absolutely.
And like I said, sometimes messed up in this is, all we're wanting to do is help you get on track. We want to help you get on track. But we can't do the work for you. And now with what's happening in Wyoming, I'm just saying you've got to have an attorney on those. You've got to talk honestly with your attorney on those, because that's going to be a big issue. I have no idea what's going to happen in the end, but I will tell you that our case, we're going to terminate your probation, and it's going to be $885 that's owed, or it's about 22 days in the Kent County Jail. Hold on one second.
I think 885 would have been if we issued the $100.
So is it 785? Okay, my apologies, it's 785. So the $785 is right around 20 days in the Kent County Jail if you didn't pay the monies. What I'm suggesting is that we give you until the end of the year to pay this in full. Pay in full, $785 to pay in full, or it's the 20 days in jail. Now, I don't know what Wyoming's going to do. If next week or next month you're locked up from Wyoming, you got to tell us. You got to write a note to Nicole and let her know what's going on. Because if you're locked up in Wyoming, that's going to have an impact on our case, and I want to work our case out then. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
All right. Get yourself on track, and no matter what, no more criminal cases.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, that's it. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, Mr. Abuxia, for helping us out with Mr. Jackson.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Ms. Van Tynen, you can come on up to the podium. Why don't you just, yeah, are you able to stand for a minute? Right at the podium if you would. What is your leg injury?
It's my big toe.
Your foot? Smashed your foot?
Big toe.
Yeah, that happens. All right, now Ms. Van Tynen, we did not know you were downstairs. I don't know where you've been sitting. Yeah? We didn't know when we were in the courtroom. We called your name and I recalled the bench warrant now on this case because obviously you've been here. But this was a probation violation when, if you think back on this case, you had that shoplifting case at Walmart. And the case itself goes back a year ago, October 2019. And the probation violation is that you missed appointments out here on your case. I think you pretty much missed paying your fines, but then took care of them at some point. What's the situation of the money right now?
There's still $1,435 owed.
So did you ever pay anything on it
Just what my bond was.
to get out?
Right, because, what happened, I wasn't working at the time.
Yeah.
And then I got a job.
When was that?
What do you mean, pardon?
When was it that you lost your job?
Well, I wasn't, at the time of when I was sentenced, I wasn't working. I started working in December of last year, it'll be a year this December that I've been working. And then, I just started getting back on my feet, and then this whole crap with COVID, so it's just like, I'm barely making my bills, and then now this,
How'd you hurt your foot?
I dropped a board on it.
What were you doing with the board?
I was replacing a floor. I was helping my son replace a floor.
Was that at your home?
Yeah.
And
The board fell right on the top of my toe.
it can do it.
It happened.
Is that an address on Chestnut in Newaygo?
No,
What's the address you go by now?
4776 Vancouver Avenue.
Okay. And that's where you were doing the work?
Yeah.
Do you live in that home full time?
Yes.
Is that something you rent or do you own?
I own that.
And does your son live there with you?
No, my son's a carpet installer.
Okay,
So
that's fine.
replacing the floors.
Sure, he was helping you with the physical labor.
Yeah.
Who else lives there with you?
Well, my grandkids did up until just a few weeks ago.
But now not?
Yeah, because I can't afford to.
And are you getting any kind of income that comes in?
I get $300 every 2 weeks for
Uh-huh.
unemployment.
Yep.
Because I haven't been working since, I'm not working full-time. I don't got full hours because I work in the restaurant industry, so we're not open to full capacity. So
How long do you think you're gonna be held up with your foot situation?
I can't go back. I go back to the doctor on the 29th of this month. I've been off all month because
Yeah.
of this darn toe.
Yeah, it's hard. It can be debilitating.
Yeah.
Because originally they were suggesting that you do some community service as it relates
And
to
I have
this.
that set up, yep, and I'm doing kids, I'm putting together kids baskets.
Yeah.
I talked to Mary, I think it was, and so she was off on Friday. Today she's supposed to get a hold of
I
me.
think it's Brenda that you were talking to.
Was it Brenda? Well,
Possibly.
emailing, yeah. And she's supposed to get me in contact with how to get the stuff to do the kids baskets.
Well, let me just ask you this. As far as the monies that are outstanding on this case, you don't dispute that you owe it and have not paid it.
At all, but
And you know that technically that is a probation violation.
I can't, if I can barely make my bills, I just.
Right, but did you contact Mr. Cervantes about that?
Well, every time that I talk to him, except for this last time, this is why I didn't call him last month. I forgot to.
You forgot to call and check in?
You don't understand what's been going on. It's just.
Well, I mean, we're all busy. I get that we're all living in a chaotic world.
Right.
But this is serious that
And I have really bad anxiety and really bad mental
Uh-huh.
health issues. And
Yeah.
so my mind goes 24/7.
Okay.
And
It can happen. Well, here's what I want to tell you. There's $1,435 owed, and I'd like to get a payment plan set up. I'm not going to say that you have to have it paid by the end of the year, because realistically, that's not going to happen. And I'm not doubting that you have your anxiety and your difficult mental health issues, but this can't be ignored.
Right.
And even with the anxiety and the mental health issues you struggle with, for you to walk into Walmart and steal like you did, it's just unacceptable. Even when you were in a difficult scenario. You think of yourself as a thief or you don't. And really, you're not a thief,
I wish I wouldn't have been on probation at the time because I would have fought that case,
right?
so.
Yeah. Well, so what I'm saying is, you're gonna have 160 hours of community service, which will be you sitting in front of the TV coloring those bags. But you gotta do it.
But no, yeah, and
Because Ms. Van Tynen, if you let this slip, it's gonna be a problem.
no, I've been talking with.
I want you to set up, that's good. I want you to set up a payment plan on trying to figure out even a little bit, even $50 here and $50 there. You gotta get this paid.
I don't want to commit myself to like $50 and then not be able to.
I understand that, but talk to the representative about setting up a payment plan of some sort.
Because like right now, my rent's $520.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I get 600, you know what I
Right,
mean? So
I get it.
How do I set up a
Right.
plan when?
right. The only other thing that they'd be willing to talk to you about is more community service in lieu of the money, so you can talk to them about that. All right? All right, head downstairs.
Your Honor,
Yes?
are we terminating? probation?
Yes, definitely, terminate probation.
Is there a due date that you want those 160 hours completed by?
Well, I just want to say end of the year.
Okay.
End of the year for the community service. That shouldn't be so hard. You can get some time.